Hi, I'm Sahar,
And I'm Shreya. Welcome to our show, Only Spoilers.
where I tell Shreya about a book that I've read or a movie that I've watched. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the book Verity by Colleen Hoover. Are you going to read it, Shreya?
Definitely not.
Then let me tell you all about it.
Okay. Verity by Colleen Hoover.
Mhm.
I have heard so much about this book.
Yeah.
Everyone won't stop talking about it.
I've talked to you about this since I've known you.
Yeah.
Since I've read this book 2 years ago.
Yeah. And a lot of recognition has come because she usually writes romance books, right?
Yeah.
But then this is not. This is more of a mystery thing. So I've always been curious, how a romance book author writes mystery too.
Yeah.
So
she writes a lot of different things like paranormal stuff, mystery, thriller, and
I didn't know she
romance.
wrote. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think this is the first book that when I became friends with you and you were like, oh yeah, I'd also like to read sometimes. I was like, read Verity.
Yeah.
Read it.
Yeah, because I can't do romance, as everyone should know by now. So I'm excited for a mystery.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this book starts with this woman who's crossing a road in Manhattan. And the moment she steps off the sidewalk, the man who was standing next to her, he gets crushed by a truck.
What the fuck? By a truck?
By a truck. So the light, the walk sign doesn't turn green, but all these people who've lived in this city for years and
Just
years,
walk.
they thought it had turned green. That guy was on his phone and he stepped a second earlier before the light turned green and he gets killed. The first line of this book is, I hear the crack of his skull before the spattering of blood reached me. That's the first sentence in this book.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? What am I reading? So this woman, her name is Lowen. She is just, her face is covered in blood. Her shirt is covered in blood. And she's freaking out because this man standing right next to her, who is alive, is now, on the road. He's roadkill. Basically, everybody starts screaming because it's New York. Immediately there's a ambulance and people are getting their statements taken and she's freaking out. She's walking in the other direction. And then this man runs into her and he's like, are you okay? Because he sees the blood on her and she is in shock. So he takes her to a cafe across the street to be like, oh, maybe there's a restroom. Let me help you clean up. So he takes her into the men's restroom, runs gives her wet paper towel to clean it off of her shirt and her face, and then she realizes there's blood in her mouth. She tastes blood and everything and she starts freaking out and he's like, are you okay? Are you in shock or are you just calm? She's like, I don't know. And then she's like, are you okay? Because he saw all the blood on her and he's like, I've seen worse things. And she's like, what do you mean by that? He's like, oh, I pulled out my dead 8-year-old daughter's body out of a lake 5 months ago. And then she's like, okay. And then he's like,
what the fuck? What are we in for right now?
This is just the beginning.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is just the beginning. And she's like, and then she says, I also lost my mother a week ago to cancer. So look, I understand tragedies. They both have gone through something recently, but she is also in shock that her white shirt is ruined. So he gives her his shirt. So this guy his name is Jeremy. Jeremy gives his white shirt to her. It's like, here, you can wear my shirt. He's wearing an undershirt under it, and he helps her get cleaned off and everything. And then they ask each other's names, and then he's like, what do you do for work? She's like, oh, I'm a author. I have a meeting I have to get to. Thank you for helping me. And he's like, okay. And then she asks him, what do you do? He's like, I used to be in real estate but not anymore. And then they go their own separate ways. She walks to the other building that she has to go to for her meeting. She's meeting her editor or her literary agent, and she has a meeting with another publishing company. She needs work because her mom's medical bills have completely put her into debt. So she's like, I need to, write something. I need to make more money because I have way too many bills. And the moment she enters this building, she sees Jeremy again and he's wearing another shirt. And she's like, do you carry brand new, fresh shirts in your back pocket. How did you change so far? He's like, oh, I'm staying in a hotel nearby. So I just went in and changed really quickly. And they're taking the elevator to the same floor. And then she's wondering who his meeting is with. And then he asks, so you said you're an author. So she knows that this building is just for authors, and he just said that he is in real estate. So she's wondering, like, what is he doing here?
Mhm.
And then she asks him, like, are you an author too? He's like, no, my wife is. And she's like, okay. And then he's like, what kind of books do you write? Like, would I have read any of your books? Jeremy's asking this to Lowen, and she's like, no, nobody reads my books. And I also write under a pen name. He's like, no, you don't. You're lying. He Googles her and like shows her that, you write under your own name, Lowen Ashley. So why would you lie about that? She's like, oh, I just, never thought anybody would. She's not that famous. She doesn't go on press tours. She doesn't interact with any of her fans. She is whatever petty money she makes from her books, she has spent it all. So she's desperate for this meeting. So she meets her they go their separate ways. Once they exit the elevator, they go their separate ways. When she meets her literary agent, he's like, she asks him, like, what is this meeting about? He gave me no information. Who are we meeting? What is the project? He's like, I have no idea. These people want to keep it brief, and they will only tell us the details once we agree to sign NDAs. It's like a very hush hush secret thing. And she's like, okay, fine. 3 people walk into the room, and it's Jeremy, his lawyer, and the publishing company's editor, right? And then they all sit across the table, they're talking, and the editor, Amanda, she says that one of our authors is unable to fulfill her contract because of a medical issue. So we need somebody to continue writing her books. So this author has a book deal with this publishing company for 9 books, but there are 3 more left in the series, and they want somebody to ghostwrite it under her name or like co-author it. So they will publish it in the way that, oh no, this girl is writing it with a co-author, but this person has to write the whole books because the author isn't able to. And then the whole time Lowen is wondering how Jeremy is
Connected.
attached to all of this, because he clearly isn't the author. He said his wife is an author. So Corey, Lowen's literary agent, is like, fine, we'll do it. They sign NDAs and stuff. And then it turns out...
Does she want to do it?
Yeah, because she needs the money.
Oh, okay.
And they're also like, you have to go on press tours and all of that. But she's like, I'm not... They only signed the NDA to get the more information, but not the contract. They haven't signed the contract yet. So they want her, Lowen, to write under a different name and go on press tours and stuff, and then say that, oh yeah, I wrote this with the author, but she's unable to come, but I'll talk about the books with you people. And then turns out Jeremy's wife's name is Verity Crawford, and she's a very, very famous author. Lowen has read her book. She's really good. She has this very successful series that she's writing. And it turns out that because these people don't want all the money to go away, if people find out that Verity is not able to write anymore, they might stop reading the books. And they had already signed a contract with her, so they don't want to lose that money. So they're like, we'll get somebody else to write the books. And then Lowen is like, I need some time to think about it. And then she talks with Corey privately. The other 3, Jeremy and the other 2 people, leave the room. Corey is like, you have to take the deal. They're giving you $75,000 per book, and it's a good money. But in her head, she's doing all the calculations that after the taxes, after Corey's 15% cut of what, she's gonna barely have like $100,000 in her account from all the 3 books. That's not enough money. And the only thing that's keeping her is, first of all, Verity is too good. Lowen doesn't write that good. Other thing, that she doesn't want to interact with fans and stuff, because when she wrote her book, she went on one book signing and she got so anxious she didn't interact with her fans really well. So they sent her hate mail like, oh, we thought you were a good person, you're so stuck up and blah 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 blah. Because how Lowen grew up, she is a loner. Like, she sleepwalks and she is in danger of hurting herself and other people. So her mother always kept her away from everyone. So she has no friends, no social life. She doesn't like interacting with anybody. That's why she doesn't also go on press tours for her books. So, and then Jeremy walks into the room and he's like, can I talk to Lowen alone? And then Corey leaves because Lowen is like, fine, let me talk to him. And then Jeremy is like, so are you thinking about writing or signing the contract? Because I really want you to. And she's like, why? I'm not even that good. And he's like, no, Verity wanted you to because she was a fan of your books. And then if anything, she respected you. So if anybody is good enough to replace her, it's you. But Lowen is like, I don't even write in the same genre as her. Why me? And then he's like, because Verity respected you. So go back to your agent, ask for more money, tell them that you'll write under a pseudonym and you will not go on press tours, and then just sign the deal. And then she's like, okay, fine.
Wait, so as a whole synopsis of that,
Yeah.
she has to pretend to be Verity even
No,
during
she
the
has to be a co-author.
Oh, okay.
So they're
on
gonna
the book, it's going to be her name and
Verity's name, but
Okay.
she's gonna be writing the whole book.
Oh.
They're gonna publicize it as that she wrote it with Verity, but Verity is not gonna be involved in any way.
Okay, but right now we don't know why.
Yeah, because she was in an accident. She's unable to write right now.
Okay. So in her press tour, she has to pretend that like
yeah,
she wrote
but
it with.
she's not gonna go on press tour. Jeremy is like, I know you don't want to go on a press tour, so tell the authors that it's unnecessary. You're gonna give interviews if you want, like written interviews. But if you don't want to go on press tours, sign an ironclad NDA and a contract that guarantees that you'll finish the book. Everything else is on your terms. He's just convincing her that take the deal. She's so like, suspicious. But why me? Like, there's better people. But all he says is like, Verity read your books, she liked you, so sign the deal.
What kind of books does this person write?
Something mystery, contemporary.
Oh, okay. And Verity
writes villain POV books.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah, but Lowen agrees because the money is good. She gets $500,000 for 3 books, and she is in desperate need of money because she is getting kicked out of her apartment. She hasn't paid rent. She has a lot of medical debt. So she's like, fine, I'll do it. So she signs the deal. She has to. Then Jeremy lives in Vermont. So he's like, whatever material, books, and everything I have of Verity is in our home office. So you can come and take it whenever you want, or you can spend how much of a time you need in her office to sort through the books and stuff. So you have an idea of how to write the next 3. And she's like, oh, you can just send it over to me, right? He's like, no, it's 13 years worth of materials because she's been writing this series for 13 years. So, just come over and take whatever you want. I don't even know how to sort through it. She's like, fine. So she packs up her house in Manhattan apartment because she's getting evicted. She has no other choice. She packs up her house. She's like, fine, by the time I'm done with sorting through Verity stuff, I'll find a new apartment. So she decides to drive up to Vermont where Jeremy lives, where Jeremy and Verity live. And on the way, she listens to the first book that Verity read in the series. Verity wrote. She listens to the audiobook of that book, of that novel, and then she realizes how good she is, and I mean how unqualified Lowen is for this job, but now she's in it, so let's fucking go, right? So she reaches their house in Vermont. She's driving up from New York, from Manhattan to Vermont, and then it's like a huge mansion on the top of a hill, and like it has like a boundary wall. So they're super super rich because Verity was such a famous writer. She has a lot of money. They live in a really big house overlooking a lake. So she drives up to the house, is admiring the house and everything, and she turns around. There's a child standing on her window, and she gets scared. Like, what the fuck did you come from? She opens the door and she's like, hi, do you live here? He's like, yeah. And she's like, hi, is your dad home? And then the child runs inside the house and he closes the door in her face. And she's like, wait, what? And she knocks and like rings the doorbell. Nobody answers. And she's like, hey, Jeremy, I'm here. But then nobody comes to the door, and she texts him. And then he's like, oh, I told Crew, his son, sorry, Jeremy's son, that, to open the door. Maybe he didn't hear me. So he comes out, he opens the door. He's like, oh, welcome, you're here. How was your drive? He shows her around the house. He shows her Verity's office. This is where, she writes. All her books and manuscripts are here. You can set up shop here. You can live here, however, take your time, stay here however long it takes, 2 days, 2 weeks, whatever. She's like, no, I'll be out of your hair in 2 days. I don't want to take a lot of time. And he's like, it's gonna take more than 2 days, but it's fine. And then she asks him, like, how is Verity? How is she? And then he takes her to see Verity, and she is in a room in a hospital bed, and she's completely paralyzed. So he tells her that she was in a car accident a few months ago, and she was in an induced coma after that because she had a brain injury, and now she cannot move or talk or anything. She's completely paralyzed.
Verity is?
Verity is.
Oh my god.
That's why she can't write the books anymore. But they're still, taking care of her because of crew who's like 5 years old, and they still have a hope that, maybe she will recover, but it's a severe injury. And then he's like, I know that you are not comfortable with everybody knowing that you're writing the books about the pen name. So tell me what name you want to go by. So the nurse that works with Verity, you can tell her that's your name, so that your name will not get associated with anything. So she's like, oh, I haven't picked a name yet. He's like, okay, what street did you grow up on, and like what was your first pet's name? So she says Laura Chase or Lauren was the street I grew up in, and Chase was my first dog's name. So he's like, okay, fine, that's your name, you can go by that. So he picks the name for her. And then she's like, okay, fine, I'll go with it. So she gets introduced to the nurse that helps Verity, and then crew their son and everything, and then she gets to work. Right, she's in Verity's office. She's realizing how much material there is, but the thing she's looking for is the outline for the seventh book. She's hoping that Verity might have started at least somewhere, because right now Lowen has no idea how to start the seventh book because she hasn't even read any of the last 6 books that Verity has written. So she's really behind, and then she is going through all her whatever printouts are there, all the manuscripts. There are dozens of printed versions of the books that are already out in like different languages, and her laptop has like all the PDF versions, but nothing to do with the next 3 books that are to come. And the speciality about Verity and why her books are so famous and critics like her is because she writes the villain's point of view. Like all her characters are super fucked up, super, like you wouldn't even imagine people like actually doing things that her characters does, and critics love it.
It's not like superhero villain.
No,
it's
no,
like
just
real
like
time.
real-time villains.
Okay.
The books that she writes are like on 9 virtues. So the last 3 virtues that are left are like courage, truth, and honor. So she has to write those 3 books from a villain's point of view. And so Lowen decides to start her research and everything.
Does she have any like basis? Like, does Verity write, okay, this is my character and this is what I want to look like?
That's what Lowen doesn't have no idea what she does, because there's no outline. She will only find out how once she reads the other books she has written. So she's listen to the audiobook of the first book. She starts reading the second book, and she's getting a feel for it of how she writes her characters, where they come from, like the backstories and stuff.
Okay.
So she's getting there, but she's still like, I need help.
Yeah. So it's not like she has to come up with something from thin air, right?
Yeah.
There's some basis.
But then she still has to produce like a whole new novel on a whole new topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's scaring her. And then she asks Jeremy, right? Like, do you have any idea what she was going to write in the next book? Like, did you guys talk about it? He's like, oh, I don't read her books. And she's like, why? And he's like, oh, I only read her first book, and then I didn't want to read anything else because I don't like being in her head. Like, I don't like to feel or to be aware of the part of her brain that makes up these stories. So he's like, I have no idea. This is all on you.
I do think about that, like people who write like really disturbing stories, or like especially directors when they do fucked up films. I'm like, I wonder how their spouses feel about this, knowing that they created something so sinister, Like, how do you come up with that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So I get what
Jeremy was coming from.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to know either.
So Lowen starts reading the second book and she gets bored and she's looking around in boxes and stuff and she finds a manuscript, but it's titled So Be It. And she's like, oh, what if this was the seventh book, right? Or maybe this is one of the books that she wrote. And she's just like skimming through it to see what it is. And then she sees Jeremy's name in it. And she's like, wait, what? And she goes back to the first page and it turns out it's like an autobiography that Verity has written
about Jeremy,
about their life. So it's an autobiography, Verity's autobiography.
You know, I mean, a theory that I have is that maybe if Jeremy is like not so much of a nice guy, you don't have to say anything right now. You don't have to like agree, disagree, or anything. I'm just putting it out there. But
why do you think that?
Because like maybe their relationship isn't that good, and then in order for her to like make these kinds of books and write them, she gets inspiration from Jeremy.
Okay.
Like maybe Jeremy is an awful person.
Okay.
Anyways, that's my that's my theory for right now.
Okay. So Lowen is like, oh, this is jackpot. Like if I get into Verity's head, like how she thinks, what her life has been like, what her life with Jeremy has been like, maybe I'll get a sense of how she approaches these characters, right? So she starts reading the autobiography. And so the first page of the autobiography, Verity writes, and she writes that every author that writes an autobiography writes it in a way that encourages the reader to like them, but that's not authentic. Like you should only put out thoughts that are really true and then let the reader decide if they like it or not.
Yeah.
So this is like your disclaimer that what you read, you're not going to like. So if you want to run the other direction, this is the only chance, because once you start reading, then that's the uncomfortable, disgusting truth about me and my life that you're going to read. And Lowen is like, oh my God, this is jackpot. Let me keep reading. Right? So she reads the first chapter that is about how Verity and Jeremy met. Verity is at this big charity event that she's not supposed to be there, but she somehow snuck into, and she's wearing this really sexy red dress that she stole from Macy's because she knows that if you want to attend events like this, if you want to be in the radar of rich people, you have to look rich. And then she has this whole theory about when women wear dresses, they have this imagination in their head that, a dress should fit my figure and I should look like this and this and this. But the real theory about why men are attracted to a woman in a dress is because how easy it is to take off.
She said that?
She said that. Verity writes that. And that's her whole thing about wearing that red dress, that how easy, like how good she looks in it and how easy it is to get out, to take off. It
just reminds me of Taylor Swift's song Dress.
I only bought this dress so you can take it off. Yeah, exactly.
Literally that.
Verity didn't even buy it. She stole the fucking dress.
Interesting.
So she's at this event, and then the moment she walks in, her eye catches on Jeremy. And she's like, oh, this is like, the sexy man.
So is he rich?
She thinks he's rich because he's at this event, right? And only people who have money to give to charity will go to these events like this. Yeah. So she's eyeing him. She's like making eye contact and like looking away and like, trying to get him to come to her, to talk to her.
Look at him, look away. Look at him, look away.
And when she realizes that, he is interested, she stops looking at him and she's standing at the bar. And she's then Jeremy comes over, puts a hand on her shoulder, and he tells the bartender, only serve her water from now on. Don't give her any more alcohol. And she's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, I can drink whatever I want to drink. And then she orders a Moscow Mule, my favorite drink. She's already had two, but she orders a third one, and the bartender is like, bartender is confused. Like, he doesn't know what's going on between these two people. He doesn't know if they're together or, if he should serve her or anything. And then Jeremy is like, oh, I told you, give her water. And she's like, no, I want the drink. And the bartender is like, I don't want to get in the middle of it. Go to the other bar and order your drink from there. Leave me out of it. So Verity goes to the other bar and she orders her third drink, and then Jeremy stops her again, and she's like, why do you care if I drink another drink? And he's like, I've been keeping an eye on you since you walked in. You have had 2 drinks in the last 45 minutes, and if you have the third one, I will not feel comfortable asking you to leave this event with me. So please spare me and, take a drink of water.
Oh my god. That would work on me. I would fold.
Yeah.
I'd take off the dress right there. Just kidding. Just kidding, everyone.
Yeah, so she's very happy that, he's also interested in her. They both order a glass of water, and then they leave the event, and then they go into a limousine and they're talking, and Verity thinks like, oh my god, he is so rich that he has a limousine and everything. And then it turns out he's not actually rich. He came to this event with someone. He has no money.
With who?
Somebody. It's not relevant.
Oh, okay.
He also sneaked into the event to, meet people and
I thought
stuff.
he went with another woman.
No.
Okay.
He wasn't there with another woman.
Good. I don't know.
So Verity is thinking like, damn, he's not rich. Like, I wanted a rich guy, but like, fine, whatever, he's sexy, I will go home with him. And then the driver of the limousine comes, is like, oh, you guys go away. And then they run out of the limousine. Turns out Jeremy drives an old Honda Civic, and they drive to his apartment, and then they have sex. And then the whole time Verity's like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with him, like I never want to leave. And she actually never leaves. Like, it was a weekend, so she stays that night, she stays the next day, she stays the Sunday, and then Monday they both call into work sick because they haven't left their Jeremy's apartment. They're so, into each other. And then by Tuesday, Verity was obsessed with him. Her words, her own words, that by Tuesday I was obsessed with Jeremy. All I wanted was that man to worship me, and me to, I just want to feel his love, kind of obsession.
The whole purpose of going to this event is down the drain, because she wanted to meet rich people, and get, networking stuff and blah 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 blah. And I'm sorry, but you gave that up what?
For good sex. Because she got a man's attention.
Yeah, so, I mean, he was smooth. So
So she is a struggling writer. She has no money. Apparently, Jeremy also has no money. He's also struggling in his career. But,
oh my god.
Yeah. I'm not you sympathizing with Verity.
No, I'm not sympathizing. I'm judging her. Like, girl, this is supposed to be your moment.
Yeah.
For your book and your career, and what? At least have the conversation at the bar, being like, so are you rich or not?
Mm-hmm.
Rich or not?
Yeah.
And if he says not, then
he gave rich vibes until she left with the event with him because he looked rich. That was her, mistake.
Yeah, I don't trust him anymore. Anyways, continue.
Oh my god. So Lowen reads this first chapter, and she's a little uncomfortable by how obsessed Verity is with Jeremy, and she's like, I don't think I should read this anymore because, it's like their private this thing. So she drops it. She realizes it's 11 p.m. and she goes to the kitchen to look for some food and everything, and Jeremy is there. He's like winding up dinner, and he's like, oh, I can reheat this for you. And she's like, can I ask you something? Like, how did you meet Verity? Like, what was the beginning of your relationship like? And he tells her the exact same story that Verity wrote in her book, with a few details left out here and there. Like, he didn't lie about the limousine thing or anything. So she's like, okay, so whatever Verity wrote in that is true. Mm-hmm. But Lowen is so curious to know about what the relationship, plus she has read how Jeremy likes sex with Verity.
What?
And yeah, because Verity wrote it all in it, right?
Oh my god.
So Lowen is now a little attracted to Jeremy. She was attracted to him from the first moment she saw him. Yeah. Because she didn't know he was married or not. She saw his wedding ring, but then she was hoping that, maybe he's divorced or estranged or something. But then she knows now that he has a wife and stuff, but the wife is, in a coma. But Lowen is attracted to Jeremy.
Okay.
That fact you have to keep in mind, right?
Okay.
So
Colleen Hoover, man. Just
bro, this is
just woman.
Yeah. So then Lowen the next day goes back to the office and keeps reading the manuscript, the autobiography, right? So in the second chapter, Verity writes about how they've been dating for 2 years. Jeremy has been sent to California for a job, and Verity has just graduated from college, and like the first time in 2 years, she's spending time away from Jeremy and she doesn't like it. She is having the worst time of her life because she's like, I don't know what to do without him anymore. And that's when she writes her first book. That, like, because she can't obsess over Jeremy anymore, she's like, I need a different obsession. She shows words. So she starts writing, and then she bases off her first character. She bases it on Jeremy. My mind is working faster than my mouth.
Okay.
So she bases the character on Jeremy.
The villain?
The first character on her book, so she can obsess over this character because Jeremy is away. And then he comes home after a few months, and then she's written this book, and the moment he comes home, she's very happy, they have sex, and then he realizes, like, he finds the manuscript on her table, and he's like, wait, did you write a book? And she's like, yeah, but don't read it. And then she really doesn't want him to read the book, but he still does. He locks himself in the bathroom, starts reading, and she's like, please, like, come out, don't read it, I'll do anything for you, just I don't want you to read the book. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, Verity? And she's like, yeah. He's like, this is really good. She's like, what? He's like, yeah, you are going to be famous, this is really good. So he's really impressed with what she wrote, right? And then she's like, oh, you really think that? And she's happy that he's back again and everything. So she sells her manuscript to a literary agent, and she gets a deal and everything. And then Jeremy one day asks her to move in with her, and she's like, oh, actually, I can't. And he's like, why? Because she's like, oh, because I already live here. And he's like, what do you mean you already live here? And she's like, yeah, do you not realize that I haven't left your apartment in 6 months? I spend every single day here. My lease ended 2 months ago, so I already moved here. And he's mad at her because he's like, why won't you tell me something like that you already live here? It's not like I'm mad at you. I just thought that, you were still keeping an apartment and I want you to live with me. But you did that without even telling me. She's like, no, I'm sure I told you. And he's like, no, you didn't. I mean, I would have remembered something like that. But she's like, oh, I'm so sorry and everything. And I think he goes away on another trip, and when he comes back from that night, he proposes to her, and he's like, marry me. And she's very happy, and she's like, yes, I get to have this man forever in my life. But the whole time, she is masking her obsession with him. Like, she's like, I will do anything to make him happy. Like, she wants to have sex with him every single night because she loves how he worships her, like how much he needs her. Like, there's this very toxic, attachment in Verity's brain for Jeremy. And then the night they get engaged, she realizes it was also the night they conceived, that she got pregnant. So,
oh my god. Okay.
So, in the third or like the fourth chapter of her autobiography, she is writing it in the sense that the happiest night of my life is also the night that I realized that something else can take Jeremy away from me. So when Verity tells Jeremy that I'm pregnant, he is so happy. He's the happiest man in this world. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And then she is not comfortable with it. She's like, I don't want Jeremy to love someone else like he loves me, because he's already, in love with the unborn child.
Oh my god, so she's the psycho, not Jeremy.
Yeah.
My bad. My theory in the beginning is wrong. I am just realizing she's psychotic.
She is psychotic. Lowen has also realized this, but she can't stop reading the autobiography. So, like 3 months into her pregnancy, she realizes that, she's showing a little bit of a bump. And then she's like, oh my God, I'm going to get really fat and I'm going to lose my really good figure. And Jeremy is not going to love me anymore because I'm going to look different. So she decides that she's going to start dieting and working out
While
a lot
she's pregnant?
while she's pregnant, so she doesn't show. And then she's already making calculations in her head, like, okay, I know from like other women's experience that the last trimester is when your body gets really fucked up, like you get really huge and like, you gain a bunch of weight. So I'm gonna make sure that I deliver between 33 and 34 weeks. I'm gonna make sure that this baby is out of me before it completely wrecks my body.
Wait, question. Was there ever a time where she was like jealous of another woman? Was there ever a scene where like a woman came up? So this is just like her own like little.
Yeah. This is just her own. This is how her upbringing is, because her mother always apparently treated her like, if you don't look good, there's no worth.
Then people are gonna like leave you
and stuff. And then she thinks that, because Jeremy loves her body so much, if it changes, like he's not gonna love her anymore. And then Jeremy sees her and he's so happy. He's like, oh my God, you're showing. And she sucks her stomach and she's like, no, I'm not. And then as her baby bump grows, he starts talking to the child, and Verity is disgusted by it. She's like, how can you love something that's not here? And then and then she asks him, like, do you already love this child? He's like, yes. And then he's like, and then she asks him, do you love it more than you love me?
I fucking knew this.
And then he says, yes. And then Verity makes a face because she's heartbroken, right? She wants him to only love her, but he loves their child. And then he misinterprets her expressions by saying that you don't have to feel guilty. You can also love the child. I mean, I understand that you also love this child more than you love me. And she's like, but that's not okay, right? You're supposed to love me unconditionally. And he's like, no, you and I are supposed to love this child unconditionally, but your and my love is conditional. Like, and if I do something wrong tomorrow, this love is going to change, but our love for this child is not going to change. And Verity is like, oh my God, this child is going to, like, I've lost Jeremy to this child. And then they find out that it's going to be twins and girls. So she's going to lose Jeremy to other girls that he's already
oh my God,
so in love with. So after this whole conversation, when Jeremy falls asleep, Verity goes into the washroom and tries to abort her pregnancy.
Shut the fuck up. I'm closing the book. I feel like that's going to be a tagline. I'll put it on a t-shirt. This is the point where I close the book. It's ridiculous. She's jealous of her unborn twin daughters.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Colleen Hoover, man. Every single time I'm going to curse her name. Like, bro, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. So Verity tries to abort her twins. She's unsuccessful in it. Like, she has some bleeding, but then she doesn't get, like, it doesn't work. And then that's the end of the chapter of this autobiography, right? Lowen reads this and she is sick to her stomach. She is like, what the actual fuck? Like, what the hell was this woman? Like, what she's completely losing her shit, right? She wants to leave. She wants to tell Jeremy, but she's also like, I don't know if, like, this is truth or fiction. Like, I don't know what to believe. So she just puts the manuscript in her drawer and starts working on the job that she's here for. So it's been 2 days. She's been skimming through her manuscripts and like trying to come up with an outline of new characters for the next book and all of that. And then so Verity's office has like floor to ceiling windows that look over the backyard of the house and the lake and everything. And she sees Jeremy working in the backyard. He's like ripping up the dock to the lake, and Crew is helping him and everything. And she's just staring at him, and she's realizing that how much she's attracted to him because of, like, whatever she has read, plus her own thinking of, like, he's such a great man. He, like, went through so much shit. He was married to such a bad woman, and like so much tragedy has happened. Both his twin daughters are now dead. Just to remind you, the first sentence he said, right? Like, I was the one who brought out the dead body of my 8-year-old daughter. So
wait, so how did that happen? Do we know?
We will know. We will find out later on. So his twins, his twin daughters were named Chasten and Harper. Chasten died of a peanut allergy, and then Harper.
Did her mom give her like a Snickers bar and like?
No. And then Harper drowned in the lake.
Oh my God.
5 months after Chasten's, or 6 months after Chasten's death.
What the fuck?
And then how Verity got into an accident was she hit her car on a tree. Yeah. And nobody knows like if she did it purposely or somebody else did it, but there's like no signs of foul play. So people just think that, she tried to commit suicide because her daughters died.
What's the timeline of hers? Like after
Harper's death.
Oh.
A week or a month after, a few days after Harper's death. The second twin's death. She got into an accident now and is in a coma.
How old were? Oh, they were 8.
8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. So clearly the twins survived.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so Lowen is like, now having feelings for Jeremy and everything.
Oh, but they have a son.
Yeah, they also have a son.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. The son is still alive. His name is Crew.
Mm.
So, and then, so because now Lowen lives in the house, and also she has a history of sleepwalking, she's scared that, because this is a new place, she's going to start sleepwalking and end up somewhere or endanger Verity or Crew or something. So she asks.
End up in his bed.
Yeah, she wishes. So she asks Jeremy, like, can you get a lock for my bedroom door so, I'm safe? Or like, he's like, what do you mean you want a lock for your door? You're staying in my house. I have a son. Are you dangerous? She's like, no. I just, it's precaution. Like I sleepwalk, but I've had incidents happen to me before. So, he's like, fine, I can put a lock on your door if it gives you peace of mind. We all of us anyway sleep upstairs, so it's fine. You can stay in the downstairs room. So the next day after reading all this bullshit, Lowen is like, I need a break. So she just sits outside in the backyard, watching over Jeremy, working on the dock. Crew is playing around that. She's just sitting and reading. And then the nurse comes up and she catches Lowen staring at Jeremy, and then she tells her, like, I'm leaving for the day, just let Jeremy know. So the nurse only stays during the day, and at night Jeremy takes care of Verity's needs, whatever, like giving her medication, food, water, whatever, and then the maid or the nurse stays with Verity the whole day. So Lowen is busy reading the book, and then Crew looks at her and he is waving at her, and then she waves back at him, but then she realizes he's not actually looking at her. He's looking upstairs at a window and waving, and then she turns around and she realizes that's Verity's bedroom, and the window curtain moved, and she gets spooked. She's like, what the fuck?
She didn't know Verity was there?
Verity is paralyzed.
Oh.
Verity can't move.
Oh, fuck.
Verity is completely paralyzed. But Crew was waving at a window in Verity's bedroom. So she's like, what the fuck? And she runs up.
I feel sick. I feel nauseous. I forgot that she was paralyzed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's why Lowen is in the picture, because Verity can't do anything.
Okay.
So Lowen runs up to her bedroom and opens the door and sees that Verity is still in her bed. But there's like a oscillating fan in the room.
Oh.
That's how the curtain is flying. But then she turns it off because the room is too cold. But then she realizes the nurse said the TV in Verity's room was on. But when she goes to Verity's room, the TV is off.
What the fuck?
So Lowen is completely spooked, but she's like, maybe, I'm just imagining I'm sleep deprived, and I think I'm just, reading her manuscript is just in my head. It's fucking with my head. She doesn't say anything. She goes.
She needs to interview this kid. She's like, who are you waving at? That's the first thing she should be doing.
Yeah.
Like, were you me or her? Me or her? Who was it?
Yeah. So, and then, okay. Then, that night, Lowen is looking at all the pictures in the house. She sees pictures of like just Jeremy and Verity. Then when Verity was pregnant, then the kids were born, and then when Crew was born and everything. And she realizes there's a scar on Chasten's cheek, right? A really prominent scar. And then she asks Jeremy, like, oh, how did she get this scar? And he's like, oh, she was just born with it. And then she's like, what do you mean she was born with it? Is it like common? And he's like, the doctor said it could have been because of like a fibrosis tissue, or like, you know, a lot of time twins scratch each other in the womb. It's very common, like it happens. It's not out of the blue. But then in Lowen's head, she's like, what if this is because Verity tried to abort the twins? What if she actually injured one of them? So Lowen is just like, oh my god, I need to get out of here. Like, oh, what the hell? But then
she signed the NDA, she signed the contract, she can't leave.
Exactly. And she doesn't say anything. And then also a few days before this window incident happened, Lowen was again in Verity's office, and she was looking out at the back where Verity was sitting on the oh my god. Okay, reset. Lowen was looking out the window. She was looking at Verity sitting in her wheelchair, crew playing with her, and like, you know, the nurse was feeding her and everything. And then
crew playing with Verity?
Around Verity, okay. Oh, you mama, see this. He doesn't understand. He's a 5-year-old kid, but cool. She wasn't doing anything. She's still paralyzed.
She's still paralyzed.
She's still paralyzed.
Thank
God. but Lowen sees the nurse go into the house for a second, and the moment she looks up, Verity is looking at her, like making eye contact.
They better not make a movie out of this. I'm actually like, oh, I hate this. Oh. Give me a second. Oh my god. This fucking bitch. Does she have sunglasses on or what?
No, she's making eye contact.
Just eyes?
Just eyes, like looking into her soul, eye contact.
This whole time, maybe to protect myself, I imagined her with sunglasses on.
No.
So that at least, you know, it's not that scary, you know, like the Jenna effect from PLL. Something like that. But no, she doesn't have anything. She just like turns.
She's just looking at Lowen, and Lowen is freaked out. She gets up, like moves around to see if she will follow her, but she doesn't follow her eyesight or anything. And then the nurse walks out, and she keeps a pillow between Verity's head and her shoulder to like support her because she's drooling. So Lowen is just...
Wait, I have another question. So is it true? So when Jeremy said, oh, Verity wanted you to be an author... So she said, when did she say that? Before or after her accident?
Verity never says that she wants Lowen to be her author, but she said Lowen was in the top list or like short list of authors that would have replaced Verity. And Lowen was in the list because Verity was a fan of her writing.
Okay. But it's not like she specifically...
No, because she didn't know she was going to end up in paralyzed, right? Mm-hmm. So...
I thought like when she was dying, she'd be like, hey, Lowen. You know?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this happens, and then the bedroom scene happens where she thinks, and Lowen is completely freaked out. And when she finds out about Chasten's scar, she is like, I have to keep reading to know like what is that? Oh my god.
Can you hear that? Oh my god, these poor babies are crying.
Yeah.
I'm freaked out.
Oh my god. I'm pretty sure it's just our neighbors.
Yeah.
We have really, really cranky kids around us. Stop!
Oh my god. I mean, it's great sound effects for what just happened. I feel like crying because I'm terrified of this woman right now. Okay.
Yeah. So Lowen goes back to reading the manuscript. So in the next chapter, the babies are born. Verity has failed to abort them. So now, you know, she's having the kids. But because they're twins and stuff, she has to go through a cesarean. And then the moment the kids are born, the twins are born, Verity feels nothing for them. She has no love, no attachment, nothing. Jeremy is completely head over heels in love with the daughters. And he was so excited. He would send
pictures.
No, baby name options to Verity. Is like, oh, you know, maybe this, maybe this. So she picks the names Chasten and Harper because those were the two names Jeremy really liked. So she picks them because he loved the names. And then he's like, the nurse comes in. She's like, oh, the babies are crying. Are you gonna, start breastfeeding? And she doesn't want to because she's like, what if I breastfeed these kids and they ruin my breast? What if Jeremy doesn't want me anymore?
What the fuck?
So she tries to breastfeed one of the kids, and the baby latches on and everything. Jeremy is very happy, and Verity is disgusted by it, and she says, "No, I can't do it." And then the nurse is like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm sure. There's other ways you can feed the kids, like, formula, or I can pump or whatever, but I'm not breastfeeding them." She doesn't say it in that tone, but in her head, she's thinking this. And then she sees that, because of her thinking that, if my boobs are erect, Jeremy is not going to want me anymore. But whatever. Moving on. So, yeah.
But your boobs get bigger, so.
Yeah, but you also get wrecked, right?
Well, yeah, but.
Yeah. But whatever. We don't have to discuss that. But
I'm just saying, she should try to think in another way.
She's a psychopath.
Yeah,
all she wants is to be Jeremy's number one, but she's been knocked down to the third position because the twins are his whole world now.
Yeah, when he said, "Our love is conditional," I bet that was like a dagger.
Oh yeah, so. That wrecked her. That ripped her heart out. But she's like, whatever. I love this man. I worship the earth he walks on. I'll do anything for him.
What's his occupation now?
He's a real estate agent.
Okay.
Yeah. So, at this point, reading so much of the book and so much of their sex life, Lowen is really attracted to Jeremy. She is getting sidetracked in her research for the book, but she keeps reading the manuscript instead. And then
her priorities right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then she also notices that Harper never smiles in any of the pictures, and she asks Jeremy about it. And it turns out Harper, the one of the twins, she was autistic, so she didn't really emote a lot, and like Chasten was the one who was, very lovey-dovey, bubbly, and Harper was the quiet one. So they're talking, and then Jeremy is saying that when Chasten died, his whole world turned upside down. Like he didn't know what to do. And then when Harper died, his world ended. And when Verity when Verity got into her accident, he was just really angry. He's like, so Verity had this term called chronics. He thinks that she came up with this word that, there are some people who are so prone to tragedy that one after the other happens to them. Like that's what's happening to them, right? First one daughter dies, and 6 months later the next one dies, and then Verity gets into this accident. So their whole life is just one tragedy after the other. And Lowen is just wondering how Jeremy is dealing with all of this. But she also understands where he's coming from, because she's also had a difficult life. Like she had a really bad relationship with her mother. She didn't know who her father was, or like her father died or something. She doesn't talk about her father. But when Lowen would have her sleepwalking incidents, one night it got so, like, they were getting so bad that her mother had installed like security cameras around their house. So if Lowen were to walk out, they would know. One night, one morning, Lowen wakes up with her wrist broken, and she doesn't know how that happened. Her mother is freaking out. She's covered in blood and mud. So they go back and look at the recording. They see Lowen walk out of their house, stand on the porch railing, and she's just standing there for an hour, and then she just suddenly jumps off of it, breaks her wrist, doesn't flinch or anything, and then just goes right back into the house and sleeps.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
This is
Lowen when she was younger.
She did that?
Yeah, she sleepwalks. So once she was younger, that happened to her. And Lowen's mother gets really freaked out by this. So instead of, putting a lock on Lowen's door of keeping her in, she puts 3 locks on her own door to keep herself safe from her daughter.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's
really fucked up. And that she sends Lowen to therapy to help with her sleepwalking and everything, but she never wanted to talk about it.
Oh my God.
And then when she got diagnosed with cancer, she was like, oh, I want to die with some dignity, so I want to die at home. And don't worry about the money. I have enough money saved, but she had nothing. That's what sent Lowen into debt, because her mother, had nothing saved for herself. And she's like, fine, it's like, my mother, I will do anything for her.
Mm-hmm.
But she had a really bad relationship with her. So she understands what Jeremy is in right now because she's also had a fucked up life. So they're bonding over that. And then next or that night when she's sleeping, she hears somebody tiptoeing around the house.
Shut the fuck.
And she realizes that it can't be Crew because, you know, definitely is an adult, but it can't be Jeremy either because the footsteps are too light. She gets freaked out and she just goes to bed. She doesn't think anything about it. But we don't know who was tiptoeing around the house.
Oh my god. Oh, I hate this. Of course it's Verity. It has to be. It has to be. Or it has to be some demon or like or one of the villains that she wrote about, but then it's not even like it's not even fiction anymore. It's a real life thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm freaked. Ugh, I'd hate that. Honestly, she should just sleepwalk and then go out into the wild and then
never come back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. And it's not like she'd remember anything when you sleepwalk too.
Yeah,
so.
No. So the next chapter in Verity's autobiography is how it's, you know, now that they're home with the twins, they're 6 months old, but she still hasn't attached to them. She is doing really well with her books, so she's staying at home writing books, and Jeremy goes out to work. And the moment he goes out, he leaves the house. Verity goes straight back to bed. She ignores her twins all day long. They're crying. They sleep in their dirty diapers. She does not give a shit. She's like, I will deal with you later. I need my sleep because I need to, you know, get back to work. And then she would only get up like an hour before Jeremy is due to come home. She would change them, feed them, and start dinner. So he will think that, you know, everything is nice. She's bonding with the kids and everything. She wants to hire a nanny to help with the twins, but he's like, no, like we can't afford a nanny right now. Plus, you are at home. What are you doing? Like, you know, they're our own kids. I help you in the morning. I'll come help you at night. It's only for 8 hours that you have to be with the kids. So, you know, deal with it. But Verity is ignoring her babies all day long. She's sleeping in, doing whatever she wants. She unplugs the baby monitors. She ignores the kids crying and then only takes care of them before Jeremy comes home.
Oh my god.
She's being that cruel to her.
And he doesn't know.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know anything. He comes home, he's like, oh my god, my babies, I love you, and this and this. And then he's very happy with Verity, and because he thinks like, you know, they're doing very well, but he has no idea. Then that night, Lowen goes to bed, and then she suddenly wakes up from her sleep because like her bed is moving, and it turns out she has sleepwalked into Verity's bed.
Wait, but I thought she had a lock on her door.
But the lock is inside, right? She's the one who locks her door. So now she is freaking out. She's like, oh my god, why am I here? What the fuck? How did I do this? So and when she realizes where she is, she screams, and she's running out of Verity's room. And then Jeremy comes in. He's like, what happened? And she's like, I'm so sorry. I mean, I don't know how it happened. And she runs back into her room, and he's freaking out, right? Because like he doesn't know what happened. He runs behind her. He's like, can you stop freaking out and tell me what happened? Because I am scared. I have a child in the house. Are you a danger? Do I need to get you out of this house? She's like, no, I'm pretty sure I locked my bedroom door, but it happens sometimes. I took a Xanax. I thought it was gonna relax me, but you know, I ended up in Verity's bed. I'm so sorry, you know, please.
Like she slept in her bed?
She just and she was lying in Verity's bed beside her. So Lowen doesn't know how she reached there. She has no idea how she sleepwalked and everything. And then Jeremy's like, it's fine, you know, he hugs her, he calms her down, and then he's trying to leave, and she's like, oh no, don't leave me, I'm scared. So like he hugs her and like,
I'm scared.
Exactly. And then he like stays with her until she falls asleep and then goes back to his own bed. And then the next day he's like, if you feel safer, I can put a lock outside your door so that, you know, I can lock you in, and then before and I can open it in the morning, so we are all, you know, sleeping without any we all have a peace of mind. She's like, fine, that will work for me. So he puts a lock on Verity, like Lowen's bedroom door from the outside.
God. I'm scared about this. I'm scared because what if the person walking around like is the one who opens it, and then she leaves, and like all hell goes down. I don't think that's a good idea either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. And then
next day everything is fine.
Of course it is. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of working on the 7th book, Lowen keeps reading the manuscript. So the next chapter in the manuscript is about how one night Verity is having this really scary dream of where the twins are 8 or 9 years old, and she walks into the twins' bedroom and Harper is smothering Chasten. And then she realizes that Harper has killed Chasten, and she's really angry. She's like, "What did you do? Like, why would you do that?" And she's so scared. She wakes up from her dream and she realizes that she's actually feeling scared and like the real terror of losing her child. And she realizes that, oh, maybe, I love the twins now. So she goes to the twins room. They're still 6 months old. They're not.
Okay, that's good.
But like she had this dream of like in the future.
Yeah.
Right. And she's really spooked by it. So she goes and checks on them. Oh no, she wakes up and she's really, scared and stuff. And then Jeremy wakes up. He's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "Oh, I had a really bad dream." And then one of the twins starts crying. They hear it on the baby monitor. And then she's like, "It's fine, I'll go take care of it." Because now she's feeling this love towards Chasten. She's like, "Oh, what if it's Chasten? I need to go, calm her down. I love her." She goes into the room and it's Harper who's crying. And she's really angry. She's like, "What the fuck?" Like, she realizes in that point that she has found love for Chasten, but not for Harper. And because of that dream, she thinks like it was a premonition that, somehow Harper is going to be responsible for Chasten's death. So she is like looking over this crying baby, and she is like, "What if, I bud this, like, snip this problem in the bud? Like, what if Harper were to die right now? Chasten would never die, because Harper would never be able to do anything to Chasten."
The baby monitor is still on, right?
No, she has unplugged it.
Oh my god.
She's unplugged it because she didn't want to hear the kids anymore. So she is thinking in her head, like, I can't choke her because,
Oh my god.
people would know I killed her. And then she knows that, a lot of babies, sometimes, like, if you vomit in your sleep, you aspirate on your vomit, like you inhale it, and then you choke to death in your sleep. She's like, what if that happens? So she shoves her fingers down this crying 6-month-old's throat, trying to make her throw up. And like the baby starts choking, and like, but then Jeremy walks into the room and he's like, "What's happening?" And he's like, Verity's like, "Oh, I don't know. She won't stop crying. I've done everything to comfort her. Can you deal with it?" He's like, "It's okay. You go." And then she was successful in making Harper puke. So she's covered in puke. So she goes and takes a shower. She comes back to the bedroom, she realizes the baby monitor is plugged in. And then she's freaking out. She's like, "Oh my God, what if he saw me do that?" And she's scared to death. She's like, "Oh my God, he's going to leave me, or, he's going to say something." But he doesn't say anything. Like, she's like, "Okay, then maybe he didn't see anything."
Did he see it though?
We don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
We don't know if he saw anything, but Verity is like scared out of her mind.
Oh my God. Is that where you're stopping this?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Do you want me to continue?
No, it's fine. We can do it in another episode. What the hell?
Yeah.
She's actually psychotic.
She is actually psychotic. She just tried to kill her 6-month-old daughter because of a dream she had.
Well, at least we know that she lives until 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not like happy with it. I'm glad that she's not like successful in killing her child, but like, oh wait, I am happy that she's not successful in killing her child.
Yeah.
Okay, just in case someone like
misheard
me, I'm just saying, clarifying. She is scaring me. And then what's her name?
Lowen.
Lowen. Yeah, she's also she needs to get her priorities straight.
Yeah.
She needs to finish this book so she can leave.
Yeah.
She can leave and, satisfy the requirements. But I understand, like, it's really juicy, like, reading all of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't fall for this man, Jeremy.
Exactly.
Are you fucking dumb? Are you stupid?
Yeah.
Like, We don't know who's walking around. We don't know who might actually like come into your room and kill you, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
One more thing before I end this episode.
What?
There was another incident where Verity, no, not Verity. Lowen is working in her office and she hears Crew scream from upstairs and she runs because she hears that the scream came from Verity's room, and she goes into the room and sees that Crew is on the floor. He has a knife in his hand and he has a cut on his chin, and Lowen is like, "What happened? Like, why do you have a knife in your hand?" And he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not supposed to touch mom's knife." And then Lowen is like, "Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean mom's knife?" She's like, "Yeah, she's asked me not to touch it, and I'm sorry I did that." And Lowen is freaked out, like, why does Verity have a knife on her? And then Jeremy walks into the room, takes Crew to get him, like, all cleaned up and everything, and Lowen goes behind him to see he's not injured, and then she tells Jeremy that he had a knife in his hand, and then Jeremy's like, "Oh, go check, pick the knife up, maybe the nurse left it, maybe she was cutting her fruits and something." So Lowen goes back into Verity's room to look for the knife, and it's nowhere to be found.
Oh my god. Why would he be like, "Mommy's knife"?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, but that's it for this episode.
I have so many questions. Like,
Ask me.
is she even paralyzed? We don't. Well, I mean, you can't even answer it because that's like a whole spoiler. But like, and before anyone's like, "Oh, that's the whole point of this episode. Like, that's the whole point of your show. It's spoilers." No, we're still telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wonder if she's even paralyzed, or if she's like, she has these episodes where she's like in and out of paralysis, or she's just faking it. She's faking it. Yeah. And then, but then it's like, but why? But why fake it? Like, because if she's so obsessed with Jeremy, Jeremy's now giving all his attention to Lowen. Wait, Lowell? Lowen. Yeah. Yeah. So she's not winning in that case either. Yeah. Unless somehow the treatment worked and she's like revived, but only for certain hours in the day, maybe like 1 to 3 p.m. And then she or actually let's say midnight to 3 a.m. And that's when she seeks vengeance, and she's like, "Oh my god, Lowen, you're taking all the attention away from me, and like I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna choke you in your sleep." Oh my god. Oh my god, like anything can happen. I'm freaked out. I just don't like this kid Crew freaking like waving to a window. Yeah, I know, right? Everything else, fine. I can stand the footsteps at night, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But it's always creepy when kids do that shit. Yeah. It's always creepy when they're like, "Mommy talked to me. Yeah. Mommy said this to me. Mommy said this." It's like, "Your mommy is paralyzed." Yeah, like, "Oh, I heard you talk to someone. Who are you talking to?" "Oh, I was talking to mommy." It's like, "Mommy's dead." I hate that. I hate it. It's all over like TikTok and like books and everything, and Reddit all the time. It's like, "Oh, who are you talking to?" "Oh, just my imaginary friend." It's like, "Oh, where's your imaginary friend?" "Oh, in the closet." Oh my god, no, shut up. Kids should not be allowed to say things like that. No. I'm freaked. It's okay. I actually, I like, usually, I can see plots coming. Yeah. But with this, I have no idea where it's going. No. That's what's scaring me right now. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better? Like better as in... That's all I'm gonna say. It is gonna get better. Oh. You're not gonna say like in what way? No. Okay, fine. Well, then I might as well tell you the whole story. Okay, yeah. Okay, fine. All right, well, see you in the next episode, I guess. Yes. Cool. If this episode piqued your interest and you wanted to pick up the book and meet us where we left off, we ended this episode at around chapter 14. See you in the next episode.